Thank you, Divyanshi. Good evening, everyone. As the Vice President of the Madhya Pradesh Judicial Reforms Council, it is a matter of honor and a very surreal feeling to be here in the webinar on the occasion of International Men's Day. I am really proud to see the kind of hard work and efforts my council has put in since day one to the D-Day. Madhya Pradesh Judicial Reforms Council is a part of the National Judicial Reforms Council, working under the aegis of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And this is a premier national business chamber for women, envisioning global impact for women entrepreneurs, businesswomen, and professionals from all walks of life. We are being supported by the massive global and influential women's network such as G100, All Ladies League, Women Economic Forum, and She Economy, with an aim to provide legal literacy, foster the process of legal awareness, uplift the legal statuses of the stakeholders in the state, and to build an environment that allows everyone the secure and unfettered exercise of their rights. Our council kickstarted its journey and operations in the year of 2023. And today, we are proudly a team of 20 members from all corners of the country. In the span of these 1.5 years, we have been organizing several webinars, discussion sessions, panel discussions, innovators contest, where the audience engages in deliberations. We have also launched our podcast series with the legal luminaries of the country. And today, we are all up for the first in the series, the webinar focusing on men's mental health, dealing with workplace pressure, balancing personal life, and the challenges of digital work. I am really thankful to our esteemed keynote speaker, Advocate Varun Katyar sir, for accepting our invitation. And we hope that this webinar is a success for our team and it comes with major takeaways for all our attendees. With this, I thank all of you for being a part of the event and good luck to all the participants for the quiz competition in the later part of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the kind words. Now, let's begin with the most awaited part of the event. I would very humbly request Mr. Varun Katyar sir to kindly start with this session and address our attendees. So,
hello, am I audible? Is it audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this session on mental health. Mental health being one of the most important things to be discussed. This issue became an issue only once we never talked about mental health. In a country like India, where we have seen, as a criminal lawyer, when I go to the courts, I see that the major issues or the major problems or the major crimes that have been committed, be it the any heinous crime that we talk about, it's all about the mental status of a human being. That also is one of the issues which was persisting for a very long period of time. It was only after the death of a superstar, Sushant Singh Rajput, as all of us know, and in the COVID era, we realized that okay, this is also one of the eras which needs to be talked. If we say this fact that anybody or everybody, a person who is visiting a psychiatric in India is considered to be a mad person. That's not the real situation. If a person is visiting a psychiatrist, he or she is suffering from few issues which he is not able to talk. In India, we believe that we should not go to the doctors. We can talk in ourselves and we can solve the problem. The only thing why this issue is considered as an issue in foreign countries, you will see that in every school there's a counselor. If there's a designated counselor for the students, there is a reason for the same, because any small mental health issue, see, when I talk about this issue starts from the, we have seen cases, I have seen people who are suffering from mental health from their childhood. And why do they suffer? Because there is a separation in the family. They see something which is tragic. They have faced certain circumstances. They have been a victim of child abuse. They have been in that position. So when they were in that position, they were never given a counseling. We have seen that the students commit suicide for the reason that they are under work pressure. Now, and they are under the pressure that they did not clear the examination. The reason for suicide has been on the multiple times that has been brought to the knowledge is that a student failed in the class 10th examination or class 12th examination is committed suicide. Now the only problem is that this was made a very big issue, and when they were supposed to be counseled that okay, if you are not able to do well, obviously it's not a one day journey that a person went to class 10th, there were pre-boards, there were other issues. The purpose of counseling sessions in the schools is also this, that a student's mental health, mental status, and not only this, the students financial status at the home, the atmosphere at the house. So if you people are aware of the fact that in US or in any foreign countries which are governed by the good laws, they do not allow the family members also to stay with the parents are even not allowed. If there is a, they find, the government agencies find out that there is a drug abuse by one of the parents, they can take the child and they can hand it over to some other person who's the guardian of the person. That is how strict the laws are in that country. So the mental health issue that which came to light only when the COVID era was talked about, we realized that it is not only the death is caused by. So we only consider our physical health. Only once we have fever, once we have any other major disease, we will go to the doctor and see the doctor. And now the problem is that when we realize that okay, the mental health is an issue, now there are not sufficient doctors. Now, since it's not like the regular issue that a person will come to the doctor, doctor will see in 5 minutes and will let go. Mental health issues means that there has to be a proper counseling, there has to be proper psychiatric treatment, the doctor has to listen to the problems, because he or she is going to get what medication does these people prescribe. They will give you medicines to sleep because that's the only best way out of your depression. Now that cannot be the only solution. Now the only thing is that they have to talk to you. For talking to you, they have to invest half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours with you. Now, when this comes into picture, we realize that the number of doctors in India, number of good doctors, now the psychiatric has become a field where people are exploring the thing. Now, but when you talk about it, it's not the high paying fields, because you will charge 5,000 for a session for a person, but that 5,000 would be for 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, a general physician or any other person would be able to have visit of 100 people. Now, if the fees is also considered that way, so this is also where we need to promote more and more people. And this system of counseling or the system of mental health should start from the very beginning in the school era. Then there has to be counselors. Now, when you talk about good schools, the schools which are charging huge sum of fees and the private schools, they have counselors, they have designated counselors, and you have to pay a visit to the counselors. You have to talk to the counselor every week. There's a designated time for the same, that the counselor students have to meet the counselors. Now, when we come with regard to the status and the situation that is there in India, we consider now whatever we say that there's a lot of women empowerment, there's a lot of other things. But whenever a problem comes, it is always the center of focus becomes the male person of the house. Even if any female person has got into a trouble, the center of the entire problem shifts to the person who's leading the family. And generally, whatever the perception has been, we have still living in a patriarchal society. We have not accepted the fact that the woman can lead any house, or even if the woman is leading the house, whenever the problem is that shifts to the male member of the house. Now women have been contributing their part in the society. So the pressure that is created on a male, or because of the work life pressure, now we have seen a lot increase in the number of women participation in any field. We talk about the litigation. We have seen that the only problem why the chief justice could not recommend or elevation of a high court judge as a supreme court judge, a female high court judge, was for the reason that there were no sufficient judges, and there was nobody who was so senior that that person could be recommended. This was the issue that was highlighted. Now there were only 20 judges. 20. I am just saying this figure as a matter of. It's not the actual figure. It's just an example that there were only 20 females as compared to 1,000 males in the litigation field, or the people who could have been eligible for being a judge. To be a high court judge, you have to be regularly practicing, or you will come through promotions. But the number of ratio was very less. So the the fact that the contributions have increased in the last few days, and the woman is also contributing equally. Now the percentage of the burden on the mental health or the work life pressure which was there on a male has also gone down. I see now there are families where like husband and wife both are working. Now, if both are working, it's not the duty of the wife just to come home and cook. The husband also contributes, or either they have their house helps for the same purposes. Because if both the people are going to cook, then we have seen. I mean, I've seen examples, live examples in front of me that there are people who are contributing in this manner. But this is not. This is just 0.01% of the society which has started this. This needs to be implemented. That if okay, fine, now if the woman is also contributing, the pressure is on both of the people, it has to be equally balanced. It's not just the fact that the contribution has to be increased, it is the fact that the society also has to think in that manner. Societal changes are very important. When we talk about the Gen Z's generation, the new generation, we also accept this fact that okay, now if everybody is working, it cannot be possible for them to just work and work. The pressure is equivalent. Now first, in the country like India, we consider this is the worst reality of the country, that we still do not consider that okay, if there's a problem, the female can handle it on it. We have seen live examples where we females have been handling the situations more calmly and more better than the males. We have seen very good IAS, IPS officers, government servants, politicians. To that regard, that there has been whatever you say in the country, there's a female chief minister who is. And if you talk about Uttar Pradesh, everyone in the country says that the administration with regard to what was done by Mayawati has never been competition. There is no competition to the same, and the law and order situation that she maintained was not there is no competition to the same. She was a female, she handled it. But this acceptance of the fact that okay, a woman can handle problems in a different way, it's not just the males who can handle the situation. That is only when we talk about gender equality, this is also the acceptance that we have to get in ourselves. It's not just by saying it. Most of the world, what is happening is everyone is just saying that okay, this is where gender equality is needed, but how do the gender equality comes into picture? The new people, the new generation, or we cannot force it on the elder people because they have accepted the fact that no, okay, nahi kar sakte so nahi kar sakte. But when we talk about the new generation has at least tried to accept this fact, even to about 0.01%. At least that much changes come forward. But this is not just the end of the same. When we compare ourselves to the Western countries, we also compare, not only we compare them for few things. We compared with them that they have only 5 days working. Why do they have only 5 days working? Because in the 5 days when they're working, they're just working. They're working from 9 to 5. They're working 9 to 5. They're not engaged in that is the level of dedication and professionalism they have. So if we reach that level, we can also be in this position. The only reason why I see that there is one more issue. Why there's a lot of problem in the work life balance is that the number of people that are trained. I have personally seen, I have appeared in matters where I've seen the opposite side has not been able to prepare a proper draft. Now the scaling of the fact. Now the how will the work pressure decrease? Only when you are willing to learn. When you talk about litigation as a field is so pressurizing. When you talk about your client is going to jail, I was rushing from office to the court to the judge's house at midnight for the reason my client was arrested. That's the level of pressure you have, that your client is getting arrested at midnight, and the police is producing him before the magistrate. You have to be there because they want you to be there. That is the issue. Now if I could have asked a female associate of my office to go and visit that, will not have accepted that fact. That's the only problem. Why is this barrier still existing? That even if it is 12 o'clock in the night, anybody can appear. It should not only be this mindset that okay, no, male person should only appear, or a female person cannot appear at the midnight. This is not the real issue. These issues are very small issues which have came down, which we have already understood. And to some extent there has been a change in the working conditions. There has been this change in the family situation, there has been changes in the way we are thinking. Now, whatever be these aspects need to be discussed. And when you talk about the mental health issues, it is not only no person cannot be any person. When you talk about India, the first perception that needs to be changed is that just because we are visiting a psychiatrist does not mean that I am a mental person. It means that I have faced certain problems which I cannot deal on my own. I need to visit a doctor. That is the sole purpose of visiting a doctor, psychiatrist. It's not that I have gone mad. I need to be pushed. I need to be tied and sent to a mental hospital. That's not the real situation. But when you talk about these issues in India, how many of your friends talk about it? After the incident of Sushant Singh Rajput, people have even started talking about it. Before that, there was nobody talking about it. There is no till even till date the police has not been able to find out the reason for his suicide. If you say that, what was the reason? Was it the financial situation? Was it his family relationships? What was his personal life? Nothing. It's still not known, and we have seen the situation that the number of suicides. When you talk about the number of suicides that happen in India, the reasons for the suicides are very. To sometimes it is so harsh to see that a person has committed suicide because a student of 10th class has committed suicide because he has failed in the examination. If he was properly counseled by this counselor and he was told that it is not a very big issue, you could deal with this in this manner, then he would not have committed suicide. Now that's the biggest problem. Why is it mandatory to have counselors in private schools only? Because private schools charge this much fees for these reasons. Now, when we talk about these issues, these issues should come. We talk about the education system in India. We have the worst education system in the country, in the world. We do not have a proper system. There is nothing which is being done with regard to. I am highly critical on this fact that at least you could. What are you focusing on? You're just making the students learn. You're changing the history syllabus. You're changing that the history should be read like this. That's your issue. You are not able to make them competent. You talked about unemployment. When you talk about unemployment, you should also talk about scaling the people. The pressure comes only when the person is not skilled. You give a person, a third year student, a bail application to be drafted, he cannot draft it. He has no knowledge about it. He has not read the law only. How will he be able to draft it? But when you talk about in the schools and colleges, still the system is same. That no education is a broadly given in that sphere of life. It is just that for the purpose that the education needs to be given, we are teaching the students. What are we teaching the students is not known to us. The syllabus hasn't changed for years and years now. Now, and when you talk about the practical knowledge, we see that there is a aspect of practical exposure to the students, but how many of them are really getting the exposures? Nobody is least interested, because no. And when you talk about, there are laws which say that this a student has to be monitored or can apply with a person who has 10 years of experience. But how many of them actually get an internship? When I'm talking about the law field, how many of the medical students eventually get an internship before, without a renowned person? If they do not have resources, they will not get an internship. And be in any other field, be it a CA, be it any professional field, I'm talking about the professional fields, I'm not talking about the other fields. How many of them are still getting job internships, even a proper professional training, without even having any resource? If a person is new to the profession, we see, why are the first generation people so much motivated? I am a first generation lawyer. I had very little resources when I entered the profession. I had to do a lot of work, but I got it because I was very keen. But not everyone is as lucky as me, that they were getting opportunities at the right point of time at the right place. I see. I have been helping in getting internships for the students, but then this is not my responsibility. What is the system doing? How is the system even operating in India? If the problem is, now the core issues that I have understood is that we do not understand one factor, that mental health is an issue. It is as good as the physical health. We have to take it, which we have slowly and slowly started taking, understanding. It's and second thing that is there is that the pressure or the only fact that we have accepted is that a male person can deal with the problem. No, it's not the situation. Females have also dealt with it. And there are lot of live examples. And if you talk about this, you can see the leadership qualities. We see the leadership qualities, and when we talk about the India as a whole, we have seen how nicely Indira Gandhi has dealt with the situations. She has shown, she went to US, she directly said this fact that she is not going to stop the war. Even under the pressure of US says you have to stop the war. She says, no, I'll not stop the war. She was a great leader. You talk about Sheikh Hasina, she was a very great leader. She ruled Bangladesh for 24 years. You talk about the Pakistani lady, this Bhutto, Nazir, whatever Bhutto she also was there. So if you see only the South Asian countries, you see that there are a lot of good leaders that have been there. And how can we? This is not only in today's era; it was there in the previous era also. We have seen these situations. Now there has to be this thought process that a woman cannot deal with the problem is what we need to get out of it. We need to understand that the pressure, if divided, will help the problem to be solved. Plus, that huge pressure will not be on the male person. We have seen the increasing contribution of the women in decision making when it comes to the wedding planning. We have seen that the mothers have instead started taking decisions. They have started contributing that these are the expenditures that need to be done. This is the way it should be spent, so that there is a lot of proper planning. And no, we have seen it through examples also that women are better planners than men. So if the pressures can be handled by distributing it, why is it just focused on one single person? Why is it only focused on the male person? It can be both. It can be handled by both the people. Now, when these qualities, when these features, when these understandings would be introduced to a person at the very initial stages, when they are in the school or when they are in the college, forget about schools for the time being. If we see that the 70% of the education in this country is done in the private universities, so if the 70% if the 70% of the students are studying in private universities, can at least those private universities provide counseling? If the counseling is provided to the students, if there is a mandated time for, there are proper counselors, not for the namesake that there are counselors, but for the sake that they are doing their jobs properly, we'll be able to actually restrict a lot of other issues. We'll be able to restrict the number of suicides. When I was shocked when I was seeing that there is no big issues. There have been very big issues, but if a person has been the why is this why when we talk about a law, when we talk about POXO, for example, why is it the process says that any person who is a victim of, be it a male or female, has to be first subjected to counseling? Because the purpose of this law is that the person should first be allowed to move out of the situation which he was in, the abuse which he was in. Once he's out of the situation, then only he can speak the truth about or whatever has happened. So now, understanding all these factors, understanding all these situations, when we see that there is mental health, why is it important? We all know the fact that it is as good as, because when we talk about the mental health, if a person who is in depression will not be able to sleep, if he's not able to sleep, the entire physical health goes out. Because what we have understood, because as you know that depression is the only, this depression or any mental health issue, the first thing that impacts is your sleep cycle. If your sleep cycle gets disturbed, then you will not be able to do anything else. If you will start, your health, physical health will start deteriorating. So if you want to keep your physical health intact, why not keep focus on the mental health? Why should we not promote psychiatric treatment as one of the treatments, and why should we not promote doctors to be more precisely taking this department? Because when we talk about eventually the doctors, number of doctors, the ratio of patients and doctors in India is very less. And when we talk about patients and psychiatric, I believe it would be 1 in 1 crore. I'm just saying that it's a very huge difference. As when the ratio says that there has to be one doctor in every 1,000 patient, the ratio would not be that. The ratio would be at least in 50, 60 lakhs, there is one patient, one doctor, psychiatric. And the level of studies that needs to be improvised. It's so the root causes has to be understood, There has to be proper counseling at every stage. Why are these big offices starting these sessions, or why are they focused more on the mental health of the patients? Because if you've seen, there was a, I am not able to recall the name of the company where a young CA committed suicide because of the work pressure. She was a female, she committed suicide because of a work pressure. How is it even after the counseling? So is it not, is it, if it would have been EY, yes, EY was the company. EY being so big company, it is in the tier four, top four companies in India. If the top four companies are not able to help their employees stay in a good situation, and she just joined the company, she was working there only for 4 months. In 4 months, she was so pressurized that why did that pressure come in? Either she was overburdened with the pressure with work, or whatever work was given to her was beyond her capacity. If it was beyond her capacity, then she should have been trained to do so. If no proper training was given to her, then obviously the work pressure would be on her. So why are we not focused on skilling the people first and then giving them the work? We are more concerned. When you will go out, you will find out to the companies that are operating in India, 60 to 70% of the companies are operating for the MNCs. Why? Because in foreign countries there is a fixed wage, there is a fixed salary that needs to be paid. There is a high this that there is a huge difference between that and India, because there is huge unemployment in India. So a person who is willing to do the work for 20,000, for which he will be paid 20 lakhs in the foreign country. So that is the huge difference. And they are pressurized to do an every extreme work. But that work could be managed. If that person is trained, if that person is well professionally trained, there are proper training sessions for every project, then the efficiency is better. This is not what I say, this is what the studies say. That if there are proper trainings, there are proper guidance for the projects, why are the projects which have a vision are existing in the country? When we talk about efficiency, we see the current prime minister. I was reading an interview of this AI person. He said that we are talking about AI in 2024. We first heard about AI through Chat GPT, how the Chat GPT is going to replace everything, and something like that in 2024. The prime minister had this vision 6 years back. He spoke to the company CEO and asked the company CEO to brief the cabinet ministers, his council of ministers, on AI 6 years back. That is the level of planning that he has. So why is the government more efficient today? For the reason, because he has a vision, he's planning it, he's executing the plans, he's training the officials in that manner. He's putting forward, if he's trying to put it, the government is running in this manner. So why is it only the government that it should work like this? Why cannot be it be implemented in a proper manner in other places, private houses? Why the pressure of a person, when we know that there is a wave in which the pressure can be released, be put on one single person? Now we the only solutions that we have is that we need to first focus on improvising our education system. The problem root cause is at the base. If the base is weak, if a person is not knowing, how do we develop ourselves? We are just a clay, and we mold ourselves according to the way we are kept. A person who lives in a slum will develop himself according to the conditions that he has lived. A person who is living up in a five-star property will develop himself in a way. You cannot ask the person living in a five-star property to live like a person who has lived in the slum. So there we are the clay. We are molding ourselves as per the conditions that we are living in. So why are these conditions not being put to us from the initial stages? If it is put to us from the initial stages, we'll be very better. We will understand, okay, no, mental health issues are real. It is not the point that we will be called mad. We'll not be called mad people. If we go and visit a doctor, that doesn't mean that we, and everyone and anyone and everyone in this country has faced mental health issues. If you have not been able to figure out on your own, then you must have taken help of your family. At least in the last 4 years, there has been a lot of mental health issues in our country. has been a change. The change has come after this tragic incident. Why do we learn only from these problems? So when the problem is identified at the base, there is guidance given to the students that okay, you have to talk about the problem. You have proper people to talk about the problems. There are counselors in the schools, colleges. Then the person will be molded. And now, if once he has graduated, he knows that if he is feeling the problem, he should go to a doctor. It should not be a very big issue for him to visit a doctor. He should not be he the only problem in India is that log kya kahenge is the biggest problem. If I am visiting a mental health, if I am visiting a psychiatrist, I should not be called a mad person. And even if I am called a mad person, that should not be a problem. Why? Because I need that for myself. If my mental health is impacted, my physical health will also be impacted. The only This is where the root cause has to be identified. Then the acceptance of us as an individual, that the females can also be contributing in a proper manner. They can be as good as what we are. This can be the first acceptance that we need to develop in ourselves. This is the message we need to pass on to our next generation. That no, it's not just the contributions, personal professional contributions. It's the personal contributions of the family. By being supportive, we don't leave our family members. I will tell you, while dealing with a lot of matrimonial matters, we have came to the issue that there has been situations where a person was, once he started facing financial problems, he was left alone in the family. He was left alone. The family left him. So that is how it should not be the situation. The family, if family is working, the families have started moving from a joint family to nuclear family. The number of people to talk are very less now. So if that less people are also not available for talk, then obviously you have to meet a doctor. So the taboo has to end. Some or today or someday later, this taboo of not going to doctor has to end. These are the major things that I realized during my entire journey till now in the colleges, school, and like in the professional life. For personal life and life balance, you have to, for everything and every problem that you are facing, you have to talk. Talk to a counselor, talk to your family members, and not only talk. There has to be a solution. You have to work on that solution. Maybe talk about the mental health. You have to visit a doctor in any circumstances. If there are very less doctors, there are doctors in India which are into existence. There is a proper department in every country, even in every hospital. Visit a doctor. At least try on your own. If not, then talk to your friends, talk to your family. That's how you will be able to balance this. Accept the fact that the females can also contribute. There has to be equal work balance between the same. I believe this is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such an insightful session. I would just like to point out that as you rightfully spoke about the fact that there's a need for a societal change in our society, and you wonderfully remarked the fact that women in our country can also handle the situation. Where you cited example of various the CM of Uttar Pradesh and various other examples. And it is not just males who can handle the situation in our country, unlike the popular belief. Also, you pointed out very rightfully that visiting a psychiatrist does not mean that you're mad. Unlike a popular perception that we have in our society is that psychiatrist or some sort of guidance, which is why we are visiting such people. Hence, I would like to thank you immense and all our attendees ahead. Having said so, I would like to ask questions. Kindly raise your hands one by one so that we can have your questions. The floor is open for you all to ask the questions now. Until then, there was this question in the chat box raised by Ms. Aparna that, sir, if you could address the Mental Health Act and how does this deal with any other features besides illness?
See, I am not very much aware about what this act is, but like there's a huge difference between an act into existence and act actually being implied. This act would have been a very big contribution to the medical field, then it would have been like talked about. But we know that the topic itself is very less talked about. Even if there is an act into existence, it doesn't suffice for the same until it is implied, until it is the execution is done. So until there is an execution of an act, we can make law on anything. But till the time the execution of that law is done, we cannot say anything on this regard. So I believe this act is into existence, but what changes has been brought is very big problem. Nothing has been brought till now.
Thank you, sir. If anybody has some questions, kindly raise your hand or put that in the chat box so we could address the same. There's this question. Yes, sir.
It says that tell one
That
more
about, sir, you had earlier said that women.
No, so basically what I was trying to say is that if there's a problem at midnight, the preference of any person would not be to call a female. They say for whatsoever reason be it the situation, they prefer saying that okay, if it's 12 o'clock, then a male person should come to the police station or to the court or any other premises where it is required. This is the general perception which needs to be broken. If there is an issue with regard to the security of the females, then that is the problem of the government. The government has to ensure a law and order. It cannot be that a female feels unsafe at midnight. This is the problem that the government has to address. This cannot be the reason for which a woman is not relied upon for in the night. This is the situation which needs to change. This is what I was saying, that the fact that there is a female, she is also competent. She is also having. I have many female lawyers who have very much knowledge, more knowledge than the male people. There's, but why will they not be called at midnight? Is for the reason that because they are females. They should know. The only fact that they are females is not going to restrict them from this. That is one of the issues which we as a society has to address. That is mental asylum among male persons. Things to go against the law. I did not understand this question. If you would unmute and just speak, Jishu. Matter is mental asylum among male persons. Doesn't go against the law.
Sir, I think that's not even a question. I think that's just his remark.
Yes.
Have mentioned. Yeah, I think we can take up Saurabh Pathak Stout. Mr. Saurabh, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Sorry, ma'am, I have no any doubt, ma'am.
Okay.
Do we have any more doubts? All right. Okay, Divyanshi, you can take up now. If we have no more doubts. Okay, we have a doubt, so we can take this as the last doubt, if you don't mind. It says that, sir, according to NCRB, 70% suicide are committed by men of age less than 29 years old. What is your opinion on the same?
So I have already spoken about it. The problem is that this issue was not dealt in the initial stages. If it is dealt, this is the age where we are being molded. It starts from the childhood. When we are in the childhood, we are just the clay. And we will mold ourselves in the way we have been led in the society. We keep ourselves in the society. If it is portrayed to us that okay, if you talk about a psychiatric doctor, then you are a mental patient. We'll exclude you from the society. We'll not talk to you. We'll consider you a mental person. We'll tie you and send you to a mental hospital. You hear this? Matlab, if any one of you is from UP, or so you must have heard. Matlab, when you're till a point of time that tum pagal ho gaye, we'll send you to Agra, because that's the government mental hospital. So this is how people talk about it. Even if you're not able to deal with these issues, people will start making fun of you and say कि हम तुम पागल हो गए, we'll send you to Agra. This is what they say in UP. I'm not sure what they talk about this in the other states, but this is how they deal with this in UP.
Yeah, that is quite frequently used as yeah. Okay.
Now in Bareilly. See, he knows that he says it is now in Bareilly.
Yeah. So there's one more doubt if you can give.
We have rules and laws, but no one follows it. But everyone talks about the issues, no one addresses that, how we implement this. So how this all practices about mental health can be implemented in all levels. When you talk about any procedural changes, it has to start from us. We, as the country has seen a lot of changes, but how has these changes came forward? Now the fact that we can keep ourselves or our society clean was known to us, but we never accepted it till the Prime Minister came forward and said ki bhaiya main to safai karunga, I'll keep my environment clean, so you also keep it clean. Then we accepted the fact, and we have kept our neighborhood clean. We are not throwing our garbage in front of anybody's house like we used to do. We are keeping our society clean. So this change has to start from ourselves. It should not just be the fact that somebody has to come forward and take it. It can be anybody. We have seen people becoming leaders on this ground only. We have seen people becoming, just because of the fact that they have raised issues which were actually an issues. I have been raising issues for the student community, that the fees issues, the lot of other issues. Why am I doing that? If the students themselves come forward and raise those issues, I do not need to do that. There is a rule which says that there has to be proper council. That council is responsible. That has representation from the students. It has to have representations from the faculty. Everyone has to be there. So nobody else is required to do that. It is the person concerned who needs to take. So the initiative of implementation of the law, forget about the law, if that law is into existence or not. Laws are made. They can be made, they can be modified, they can be amended. But the fact that the change has to come is, we do not need a law to change ourselves. We need to change ourselves from within ourselves, and we need to start from there. That's how we'll deal with these problems.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for answering all the queries so beautifully. Having said so, now due to paucity of time and even as sir has to leave, if there are any further queries left, I would like to request the attendees to kindly mail that to us. We shall be dropping the council's mail ID at the chat box, so you can do the same. Now that we have, yes. Now it's a note for all the attendees present here that we shall be having an interesting quiz session at the end of this session after our president, Ms. Nupur ma'am, gives the vote of thanks. So now I would like to invite Ms. Nupur, the president of Madhya Pradesh Judicial Reform Council, to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Divyanshi. Hi, everyone. I, Nupur, the president of Madhya Pradesh Judicial Reforms Council, on the behalf of the entire team, I'm extremely grateful to Mr. Varun Katiyar sir for truly justifying the essence of this event, which we organized on the occasion of International Men's Day. So I was reading this one article in the morning that was talking about the number of men, how the number of men doing suicide is increasing every year. And the organizations that are basically advocating about these their rights are facing a number of backlashes at different fronts. Many are demanding the ending of freebies culture targeting women by the politicians, equality in court treatment, amendment to the Constitution of India for gender inequality, or to set up a dedicated commission to tackle their issues. But many are not aware that these things are not just restricted to having a law or maybe a landmark judgment for that matter. Societal understanding, acceptance of the law, will help us in eliminating the root causes, which Sir has very excellently highlighted during the session. So thank you so much, Sir, for the same. And secondly, I would like to thank our attendees, without whom the event would not have been like possible and this much successful. We can't be more happy because all of you have brought this event to a success. And I could really see the number of male participation in this session. So additionally, I also want to thank all the promoters of this particular webinar who have helped us to get a good reach via different social media platforms. We thank the heads of Law Moving, Legally Flawless for the same. Last but not the least, the council members, backbone of this event and the council, who have been like working tirelessly right from the idea to the D-Day. I thank everyone for their active working during this event. And with this successful conclusion to the webinar, I can't miss to thank the main pillar of MPJRC, my constant supporter, the Vice President of MPJRC, Tanishka Tomar. Thank you, Tanishka, for backing up every step of this council. Again, I thank Varun sir for it and everyone for being a part of this amazing event. We look forward to having everyone support in the upcoming events and competitions organized by MPJRC. Thank you so much, everyone.
Once again, thank
So
you
the
so much.
notice
Thank you so much
to
for this helpful session.
all the attendees that as we are heading to
I think there is some network issue at Divyanshi's end. I would
the
request
end
all
of
the
our session,
participants.
we are going to have
I request all the attendees to wait here till our guest leaves the session. Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful session. Also, all the attendees are now supposed to participate in the quiz competition. The quiz link will be shared here in the chat box and in your group, and the quiz is open for 8 minutes. Please let us know if any one of you has any doubts. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask us the doubts.
We have put the quiz link in the chat box. The quiz will be open till 5/7.